confessing again. I know I've let you down. I've said it 100 times, never again starts down. I've wasted so many years, wasted so much time. Can't solve it with a song, can't fix it with a rhyme. So I'll try to be honest with myself again. I can feel just so uncomfortable in my skin. I know you told me that you loved me, don't remember when. Oh, feel like I was so much wiser when I was 17. Saw the world in just two shades, didn't stand in between. The man I was back then saw who I am right now. I wonder if he'd be disappointed in how we would turn out. So I'll try to be honest with myself again. I can feel just so uncomfortable in my skin. I know you told me that you loved me, don't remember when. Oh, oh, oh. And he say, child, stop listening to yourself so much. I made you more than worthy of my love. You are fearfully and wonderfully made, and that's enough. Oh, oh, child, if you could see yourself the way that I do. You see, I made you in my image, and my work's not through. So we'll dance on this disappointment in a world made new. Oh, 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 oh. Made me seem all too far gone. I know your heart is broken. Last words I've spoken, the best is still yet to come. I know that your heart is tired. The flood in the fire made me seem all too far gone. Spoken, the best is still yet to come. He knows your heart is tired. The floods in the fire have made him seem all too far gone. And he knows your heart is broken, but the last words he spoken, the best is still yet to come.
What is going on, everybody? My name is Pastor Chris. Welcome into the Harbor. I'm so excited you have joined us from wherever you're watching from, whatever platform you're on, and however you're watching us. I appreciate you joining us, and I'm excited that we are wrapping up our collection of talks on a deeper level, this journey going deeper with Jesus. And last episode, we wrapped up our discussion with Lynn Fukutani, one of our Bible scholars here at Bay Hope Church and for the Harbor. She is just a flood of information when it comes to how to read the Bible. How does it all fit together? Where do we even start? And she is just incredibly wise when it comes to all of that stuff. And so we had an incredible discussion, 2 episodes worth of a discussion on this topic. If you missed that, you can check that out on our YouTube page, Bay Hope Church, as well as our Instagram feed at the Harbor. Check those 2 episodes out if you're wanting to learn how to read the Bible or you have questions about the Bible. And so we're going to wrap up this collection with this final talk on being a transformer. Now you're probably thinking I'm going to head towards the movies or I'm going to head towards the cartoon. It was a cartoon when I was a kid, but I'm not going to go that direction yet. But recently, my wife and I, we purchased a new vehicle. We were excited about this vehicle. It's a used Suburban. And that was a car that my wife always loved. She still loves it. I got it for her, and she just absolutely is in love with this car. And so I was thinking about when we got this car and we went to the dealership and we took it on a test drive and we sat there and filled out all the paperwork. And then you get in and there's just something amazing about a new car smell. I don't know how the dealership does it because I can go into Mr. Car Wash down the road and try to add the new car smell into it. It just doesn't have the same kind of smell as it would if you bought it from the dealership. And I remember buying this and I remember that actual smell. Maybe you have bought a new used car, or maybe you bought a brand new car and it's got that smell in it. There's just something beautiful about it. Maybe I'm the only weird one of this, like the smell of a car, but there's something amazing about this new thing. Maybe it's not a car. Maybe it's a new set of clothes you got. That's something that I enjoy as well, buying some new clothes, or maybe it's a new friendship that you've made with somebody. Something exciting about a new friendship. You get to know somebody new. You get to know different habits they have. You get to know as you go on a deeper level with them, different hurts or maybe hangups. You get to come intimately close with them and start this bond. So we're going to continue in the book of Ephesians. Continue. What does it look like to be on a deeper level with Jesus? Ephesians chapter 4 is where we're going to spend our time on this episode. And we're going to look at this interaction. Paul, who is an apostle, who has planted churches throughout the land in this time in the Roman Empire. And so Paul is preaching the gospel. He's planting churches. Paul is somebody that experienced Jesus, not necessarily in a physical manner, but in a spiritual manner on the road to Damascus. He gets absolutely just changed. He's so changed, in fact, that when he meets Jesus on the road to Damascus, he becomes blind. And he has to seek out somebody to help him see again. And so all of that takes place. And so Paul is encouraging the Ephesians and the church of Ephesus in this portion of scripture to look more like Jesus, to live more like Jesus. Before we get to that, though, that Paul is going to begin these verses encouraging his readers how not to walk on this journey with Jesus. I think it's always important that before we get to the how we live, we need to understand how we don't live. We see this in the Old Testament with the 10 Commandments, right? There are thou shalt nots. There are thou shalt. You should live this way. You shouldn't live this way. And I don't believe it's for a legalistic point of view. I don't believe that God is trying to keep us from something that is necessarily what we would feel as good. But I think it's wanting us to stay away from something that isn't of God. I will always sacrifice something good for something that is God. his character, his love, his mercy. And so he wants to do this, Paul does, for two reasons specifically. The first reason is he points out Jesus' teaching on how important it is to strive for holiness. Jesus teaches this holiness idea throughout the four Gospels, Matthew, Mark, Luke, and John. What does it mean to be holy? What does it look like to live in a state of holiness? To where people, when they're around you, they say, man, that man, that woman, that person is holy. They really love the Lord. The second thing he wants to point out is it points out a reality that we are countercultural. I know that's like an interesting idea. Well, what do you mean countercultural? It points that our thinking, our mindset is not about the earth fleeting satisfactions of life. Because by the way, all of the satisfactions we experience on earth will fade away. What Paul is wanting to encourage these readers in the church of Ephesus is that to think eternal, to think of the eternal sanctification, the eternal satisfaction that we live in with Jesus. So we're going to see Paul encourage them in chapter 4, and we're going to start in verse 22. So if you have a Bible, Ephesians chapter 4, we're going to actually begin in 17. 17 is where we're going to start. This is what it says. It says, so I tell you this, and insist on it in the Lord, that you must no longer live as the Gentiles do, in the futility of their thinking. So stop right here. Who are the Gentiles? The Gentiles are just those individuals that are not Jewish. They're outside of the fold of Judaism. And what's interesting about the church of Ephesus at this place is it was a conglomeration of traditional Jews who had come to the very fold of Jesus, who had said yes to a life-changing relationship with Jesus, but yet they were still holding on to the Jewish traditional values that they once knew. And then you had the other scope of people, that the Gentiles who were predominantly living in a polytheistic deist world. So when you think polytheistic, you think the Greek gods, Zeus, Aphrodite, you think of these gods. And so there's this now combination of the two individuals. And so what Paul is saying is, listen, I don't want you to live like the Gentiles did. I don't want you to think that way anymore. Listen to what he keeps going. He says, they darkened in their understanding and are separated from the life of God because of the ignorance that is in them due to the hardening of their hearts. Having lost all sensitivity, they have given themselves over to sensuality so as to indulge in every kind of impurity, and they're full of greed. That, however, is not the way of life you learned when you heard about Christ and were taught in him in accordance with the truth that is in Jesus. You were taught, with regard to your formal way of life, to put off your old self, which is being corrupted by deceitful desires, and to be made new in the attitude of your minds, and to put on a new self, created to be like God in true righteousness and holiness. Let me read that one more time. Put on the new self, created to be like God in true righteousness and holiness. So if you want to go and want to be on a deeper level with Jesus, here's what you need to know. You have to let go of the old way of life. If you want to go on a deeper level with Jesus, you have to let go of the old way of life. You have to literally take off something that was the way of life for you before you knew Jesus. You must put on a new thing. Put on the characteristics of Jesus. Put on the attributes of Jesus to become more like him. You transform your life from what things used to look like, what things used to be, and you start to put on the very fabric of who Jesus is. Paul is using this illustration here as what you would probably think something new. And when we think of something new, as I said earlier, we think of new clothes. And that's exactly what he's pointing to, is that when you put on this new attire, you put on these new set of clothes, you have to first take off the old thing. You have to take it off. It would absolutely be ridiculous if we looked like Joey from Friends who put on all of Chandler's clothes. We look ridiculous if we just kept adding things without taking off things. If you haven't seen that episode of Friends, I think it's still on Netflix. Check it out. It's hilarious. Probably one of my favorite episodes of that whole series. But we would look ridiculous if we just kept the old way of life on and just continue to put new stuff on, knowing that this stuff is just going to make us look ridiculous. But that's what Jesus is calling us to. In order to go on this deeper level, we have to let go of the old things. I heard a story once. I don't know who told me this story. I can't remember where I heard it from. I may have read it, but I was told the story of this father and his little girl. And this little girl used to have a set of pearls. Now, these pearls were plastic. They had little to no value. But to this little girl, this set of pearls were absolutely invaluable. She wore them everywhere she went. She'd go to the playground, she'd wear them on the playground. When she'd go to school, you guessed it, she'd wear them at school. She'd have them for family functions. She'd even go to sleep at night with these set of pearls. Now, one day, the father, in his infinite wisdom, had said to his little girl, "Sweetheart, let me take the pearls. Let me hold them. Let me look at them. Let me take them from you, and I promise you in return, you will get something new, something better." But the little girl really couldn't understand her dad's request. These are my lifeline. These are my things. These are my pearls. They're invaluable to me. They're sacred to me. They are me. They're my identity. They go everywhere I go. They always stay on. I never take them off, Dad. Why are you asking me for these pearls? And the dad just said to her, "Listen, sweetheart, trust me. Trust me." She continued to cry. She continued to ask, "Father, why? Dad, why are you asking me for this, my pearls? Why are you asking me? Please, you have to understand, this is me." And through just tears rolling down her face, through a lip that's quivering, she handed over her pearls. And for the evening, she went to sleep, just crying herself to sleep, hoping that one day she would get her pearls back. Well, the next day, her father woke her up and she had, "Dad, where are my pearls at? Where are my pearls?" He said, "Sweetheart, I promised you something new. And I want you to put on something new." So out of the back pocket of his jeans, he pulled out this box. And he opened the box. And to the girl's amazement, she was stunned. She cried with just excitement. "My pearls are back. My pearls are back. My pearls are back." And the father said to her, "Sweetheart, before you put these pearls on, I want you to know that the pearls you had before, yes, they were valuable to you. I'm telling you what, these pearls right here, they are real pearls. They're not the plastic pearls that you once thought you had that were real. No, these pearls are real. And I'm giving you these new things to put on as a reminder that you are a part of me and I am a part of you." Jesus does the very same thing when he sacrifices his life on the cross for you. He says, "I'm about to do this new thing." And when you come into the fabric, when you come into the fold of Jesus, this new thing now is no longer Chris. It's no longer Stephen. It's no longer Erica. It's no longer Jalen. It's no longer Trent. No, it is Jesus Christ. It is a brand new thing because you are putting him on. And the question is for you, wherever you are watching this, do you have Jesus as your new self? Are you wearing the things of Christ? And is it a new thing? Or are you still living in the old? Would you pray with me? God, we thank you for this opportunity to understand your word. That Jesus, ultimately, you put on us your spirit, your being, so that we may be created to be a new thing that replicates, that looks exactly like the things of Jesus. Lord, allow us to take the old ways off, the things that don't look like Jesus, the things that look more like us, and allow us to let go of those things and to put on the very nature of you. We love you. Amen. Well, hey, thanks so much for watching this episode of The Harbor. Next week, we begin a brand new collection of talks. I hope you'll join us for that episode. God bless.